I thoroughly underestimated the new Summon Sorc errata. Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, I genuinely did not think that Summon Sorc or Summon Sorceress would do anything post-errata. Now if you don't know, let me just go over this card real quick. First and foremost, this is new text. It got errataed, it has new text, and now it says something different than what it used to say. What it used to say is special summon a card from your hand to a zone this card points to, and then special summon a guy from deck. That was pretty much it. No real restrictions. I don't even know if it negated effects, but it was significantly more overpowered than it currently is. As of right now, what it says is same summoning requirements. If this card is link summoned, oh, that's what it was. It was also not a on summon effect for both of the summons, so you could summon a guy, and then you could potentially change what this card is pointing to, and then summon a different guy from deck, which is now not possible. That's the big thing. Anyway, beside the point. If this card is link summoned, you can special summon a card from your hand in defense position to an opponent's zone this card points to, but negate its effects. Then you can special summon one monster from your deck in defense position with the same type as that monster, and then you're locked into that type for the rest of the game. For the rest of the duel. Not game. For the rest of the turn. I got there. For the rest of the turn. Hard once per turn. Now, originally I was like, yeah, I don't really think this is going to do anything. I think the errata probably brings it more in line and is really not going to see much play. And then I played it, and I was totally wrong. This card is really, really powerful, and it technically doesn't really do anything for Dragon Link except for make it more consistent and allow you to pretty much do your end board, your like standard end board that you want to make every time. Pretty much every time, which is really, really nice. It does require a little bit of setup, but it's not too difficult, especially in Dragon Link. So we're going to go over Dragon Link in particular, and it gives me an excuse to play Dragon Link, which I thoroughly enjoy. So, real quick, we're going to go through the card by card. We're playing 50, because I believe 50 is the correct number. And the main reason for that is because there are so many cards you do not want to draw that you specifically want to search throughout your combo, so that is why we're doing that. And we're just going to go through the card by card, starting off here with the best normal summon in the deck, Black Metal Dragon. Black Metal Dragon, it says when it's sent to the graveyard, add a Red Eyes card from your deck to your hand. Now, there are two important ones to grab, the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, as well as the Black Meteor Dragon. Both of them can special summon themselves, and Black Metal also can special summon a guy from grave or hand as well. Which is fantastic. On top of this, this also sends Driver to grave, which is why we're playing Driver. Or more specifically, Gamma and Driver. But there's that. The second best normal summon in the deck is Seyfert. We're running 3 of this. It sends any number of dragons to the grave, and then adds the same level sent. So, for example, if you send 2 4s, you can add an 8, or if you send just 1 4, you can add a 4. The main reason this is so good is because Seyfert can send itself to the grave to add Collapse Serpent, and then Collapse Serpent turns into so much, turns into so many bodies, basically. So it's very, very useful in that regard, but also you can trade out like a worse Bestial for something like Magnemite. You can trade out something like a Lubellion into a Levianeer, or vice versa. Lots of cool things like that. You can also send 2 4s in order to get the Lubellion. Very good. Then we're also playing a whole bunch of other pseudo starters. We're playing Triple Lubellion, which is really good for getting your Bestials online and turning all of that into advantage, which is always fantastic, and it puts a light into the grave. We're also playing the 2 apiece of Rocket Tracer, 1 Rocket Recharger, and 1 Rocket Caliber for our rocket targets. Now, technically speaking, we don't actually want to see these in our hand. Realistically speaking, it's actually fine if we see them in our hand. But yeah, for the most part, it's not necessarily something that we want to draw, so we're playing kind of a small amount of them. We're also playing 1 apiece of Wyver Burster and Collapse Serpent. Honestly, if we could play more specifically a Wyver Burster, we would. Wyver Burster is by far the better one because of the fact that it banishes a dark. That's pretty much it. So there's that. And then we're also running the 1 Absorouter Dragon to search out the rockets. And then, of course, we're running 1 apiece of each of the Bestials, the Magnemite, Saronir, Druis, and Baldrake for our Bestial package. And, yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of monsters. Oh, sorry. We're also running 1 Levianeer, And that's pretty much it in terms of monsters. As for spells and traps, we are running the 1-for-1 to get into black metal, because it's now a little bit more valuable to get into the black metal. So I think originally I wasn't playing this, now I'm playing it. I don't know. It's okay. We're also playing now the newly unlimited Chaos Space. It's now at 3. This card's great, fantastic, love to see it. 10 out of 10. We're also running a whole bunch of bricks, the 2 field spells, Dragon Ravine and Boot Sector launch that we want to search along our combo, as well as the 1 Branded Regained. This one's not as bad to draw because it actually does have some advantages by just like getting it into rotation faster, but for the most part you want to search it off of the Lubellion, or activate it off of the Lubellion. We're also playing 2 Quick Launch, which is fantastic to just get rockets onto the field, and that's pretty much it for our engine. The rest of the cards are just disruption. We're playing 2 Effect Veiler, as well as 2 Gamma and the 1 Driver. Also, I am highly valuing light and dark interactions, right? So this is why we're playing Veiler as opposed to Infip. I think Infip's great, but Veiler's a light, which gives me access to the Bestials, as well as the Collapse Serpent stuff and a whole bunch of other things, Legionnaire. So it's just a little bit more valuable to run that. It's also one of the reasons why we're running Ogre. Ogre also is just fairly decent this meta, so I'm playing that. We're only playing 2 Max C because, again, it's not that, and there's not really a whole lot that we want to specifically draw into as much as it is valuable to draw into, like, an Ash to stop a Max C. So there's that. Then we're running the 1 Nibiru, the 2 Triple Tactics Talents, 2 Called By, the 1 Crossout, and the 1 Infit. And that's pretty much it for the main deck. As for the extra deck, things have changed slightly due to the Summon Sorc. I'm not playing Baron. That's pretty much it. That's the only thing that's realistically changed from my previous list. And yeah, the main reason for that is because Baron just becomes a little bit more difficult to summon, and it's more valuable to go into something like Summon Sorc instead of Baron. So there's that. But we're still playing 3 Synchros, so we're playing the Borreload Savage Dragon, the Dispotter, as well as Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is just a nice corner case card, but honestly, this could be a myriad of other things. As is the case with all of Dragon Link, to be fair. I'm also running 1 Pisty and 2 Striker Dragon. Honestly, there's been a lot of times where the 3rd Striker Dragon has come up, but mostly it's in those grind games, and there are a lot of instances where I can put back the Striker Dragon off of like a regained activation, or by summoning it back off of a Dispotter or something along those lines. So it's not exactly terrible to only have 2, but there have been a few times where it's like, this has been negated like multiple turns in a row, or I need it through my combo and I use up 2 and then it just becomes a mess. Anyway, we're also running 1 Hieratic Seal, the best card in the deck. It's an FTK, you gotta run it. The 1 Romulus to search the field spell of Dragon Ravine. I'm also playing Delirious. Honestly, because of Summon Sorc, I actually don't think this is as valuable. You could still run it, but honestly, this is definitely more cuttable now, because most of the time, if you're going into Delirious, you just have the extra materials necessary with like Summon Sorc, since you now have a Link 3 to go into more effectively. So honestly, this should probably be the other Boral. I don't think it's a Boral actually. What is it? It's the Triple Burst, I believe, is the name of the card that I'm thinking of. Yeah, Triple Burst Dragon. You know, that one. This should probably be Triple Burst, but I'm not running it. Anyway, the 1 IP Masquerena, Dark, SP Little Knight, Summon Sorc, Axis Code Talker, and Borrowland. And honestly, I don't think I have summoned any of these guys. So, take that with a grain of salt. No, I've probably summoned IP Masquerena, but, and SP. But, yeah, Dark I haven't summoned, and Axis Code I haven't summoned, because you do get locked into dragons with the Summon Sword. So, that's something to keep in mind. Anyway, let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going first, and our hand looks impeccable. Unless my opponent has Max C, then it's sad. Anyway, we're going to start off here with the Lubellion. We're going to grab to our hand the Magnemite, and I'm feeling pretty good. We're going to go then and send Seifert here, because I do want to normal summon the black metal. I think it's a little bit better, but yeah, Seifert might be a little bit better. Hard to say. Anyway, we're going to go for the Collapse Serpent, banishing the Seifert, and then go into Striker Dragon, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, the Collapse Serpent. Maybe I should have changed that, but I do actually want the field spell here a little bit more. It gets negated anyway with the Veiler. Kind of tragic, but not that big of a deal. We get to go for the Wyver Burster here and shuffle back the Collapse Serpent before going into our Link 2 of Romulus, so that now we can also use the Wyver Burster search to search out that Collapse Serpent that we just put back. And then also search out the Dragon Ravine. Mostly, we're doing the Wyver Burster effect. We're using it to chain block. That's more important, so that if they do have an Ash Blossom, the Romulus still gets its effect off. So there's that. We send the Apsa Router here and grab up the Rocket Tracer. Then we're going to go for the Magnemite. I'm actually going to banish their monster here. And this may seem a bit strange, but I actually do want all of the guys in my grave. And it's just more valuable to banish their monster because it sets up Bestial Dispotter a little bit better. So there's that. Anyway, we're going to activate the Magnemite effect and then immediately go into Summon Sort, the new card here. And now I activate the effect of the Summon Sort, and I actually do summon Safer here. I don't know why I decided to do this. And I also summoned the Black Metal to their field. I could have just summoned Black Metal, Black Metal. That might have been a little bit better. I summoned the Safer, forgetting that this negates the effects. Because I consistently forget that. But yeah, so bit of a goof on my part. This should have just been another Black Metal. Not really that big of a deal, though. Anyway, we then go for the Darkness Metal Dragon to bring back Magnemite, and then normal summon the Rocket Tracer, popping our field spell, so that now we can go into the Dispotter. Then we're going to summon out our Bestial Lubellion. I should have done this earlier, but oh well. And now we can bring out the Safer and activate its effect, sending the Bestial Lubellion to grab up Levianeer. So we're going to rip another card out of my opponent's hand. That's the game plan. We're going to go Pisty and Striker Dragon here. And this is where like having the third Striker Dragon would be useful, so that on follow-up we'd still be able to search the field spell. Because again, we don't have access to that. And the field spell does have some pretty good text by being able to summon back rockets from Grave. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, we go for the Levianeer effect. We're going to shuffle back the Collapse Serpent. And we just draw into the field spell. So didn't matter. But we also shuffle away one of their cards because we banished only Darks with the Levianeer. Here we bring back the Rocket Tracer from Banish. And then here's where I go into Delirious Dragon. I didn't need to. There was no reason for me to do this. But I do. And then I pop here with the Rocket Recharge, or with the Striker Dragon to grab up the Rocket Recharger. And then I go for the Rocket Recharger to bring back itself. And then this brings back Delirious. And then I just link off the Delirious. And I was like, I didn't need to do any of that. I could have just kept the Delirious in Grave. Or in extra. But yeah, we still end on pretty much the exact same end board that we would want to. However, now we have one additional negate. Crazy. I'm also going to add back the Levianeer off of the Safer effect and add Druid Swarm during the end phase. And yeah, this hand's pretty good. Not only is the hand pretty good, the field is also extremely good. My opponent's going to go for the Dragon Shrine here and reveal that they're on Pendulum. And then, well, this requires them to have no monsters on field. I believe, right? Where is it? Yeah, if this card is in the graveyard and you have no monsters, you can special summon it. Crazy. Anyway, because they had to run into into my monster here, I get the search. So that's kind of funny. They're going to get the search. I'm like, that's fine. I'm going to go for my Magnemite here. They're going to grab the Gateworm, and I'm like, that's totally okay. They're going to activate the Gateworm, then they're going to activate the Supreme King Gate Magician, to which I will shuffle back their monster that I had in the Banish Zone that I banished off of my Magnemite, and yeah, they just concede there. Pendulum. Alright, here we are, once again, going first, and I have a very similar hand. However, I do goof a bit here. We're going to start off here, once again, with the Lubellion. We're going to grab up the Magnemite, and then we're going to normal summon out our red. Or our Black Metal. I don't know why I said red. Anyway, we get Veilered again. I don't know why it's always Veilered, but it is. Anyway, out comes the Darkness Metal. Darkness Metal is going to summon out the Black Metal, and then we go for the Lubellion, putting the Regained into the back row. Here we grab up the Dragon Ravine, and now I go for the Black Meteor Burst Dragon. This is kind of a mistake. I probably shouldn't have done this, but I did anyway, and yeah, this is just kind of silly. I should have just gone for the Magnemite, banishing one of these guys, summoning it, and then activating its effect, and then going to the Summon Sork. So this is a big misplay from me, because now we don't have a dragon to summon to the opponent's side of the field, and so now I have to, like, get a dragon. So it becomes kind of messy. So I have to go for the Dragon Ravine here, pitching the Nibiru to grab up a Rocket Tracer so that we can have a dragon to give to the opponent. I grab up the Safer here and I activate the effect because I forgot that it's negated. But it's fine. I can still make this work. It's fine. We're going to go for the Magma. We're also going to shuffle back our Rocket Tracer. And I get bailed out. I draw Caliber. To be fair, we still have some plays, but that was a extremely good draw and very necessary. So there's that. We grab back the Lubellion off of the Safer that we sent to the grave, and then we go for the Bestial Dispotter, special summoning back the Safer, which would have been so nice had we been able to just, like, use that effect now. The reason I did it earlier was because I really wanted access, again, to Collapse Serpent and Wyvern Burster. They would have been really useful here, but alas, I goofed and did it a bit too early. Anyway, so we go for the 1/1 to grab a Pisty, and then we go for the Striker Dragon, and we're going to activate the effect of the Pisty, bringing back Caliber, and then I just link into Borreland, and then I realize, oh, I used the wrong material, and yeah, I can't really do anything else. So, pass. It's still not terrible, but, like, I definitely goofed here. And a lot of that was just me being, like, new with how Summon Sorc specifically interacts, and, like, not really thinking about it from what this card can do, and what I kind of need to set up. Because I've played Dragon Link for so long without this card that, like, having to put this back into the combo line is kind of a bit difficult. Anyway, my opponent reveals that they are on Kashtira, and guess what? They had Unicorn. They had the Unicorn in hand. Let's go. They had Field Spell, Fissure, Unicorn. That was their hand. Oh, and Valor. Incredible hand. Anyway, didn't really matter because guess what? I mean, it didn't matter. Anyway, they're going to activate the Rise Art effect, and I'm actually going to shuffle back my Striker Dragon here just to pop the Rise Art, since there's no reason for me to, like, negate it. So there's that. If they had Birth, this is a bit of a mistake, because if Birth is something that they have, I would... Had I shuffled back the Unicorn to negate the effect, and then they activate the Birth wouldn't do anything. It would just be a dead card. So this is a bit kind of dumb on my part now that I'm thinking about it. Because Birth, summon Unicorn grab up the effect, or the spell, then I'm just kind of cooked. Not cooked, but, like, it's significantly worse. To be fair, they don't really have an ouch to Borreland, but it could have been worse. Anyway, I go for the Baldrake here because I'm worried about what they're going to summon, and we shuffle back another Striker Dragon as well off of our regained. My opponent proceeds to go for the Sky Crisis here, and yeah, we just go away. I banished my Magnum here because we can summon it back off of the Dispotter, so it's actually pretty good to banish it there. My opponent goes to the combat phase, and I just negate here with the Borreland, because guess what? Dimensional Fissure only says monsters are sent to the graveyard, and an Xyz material is not considered a monster for some reason. I don't know why that does that, but I don't know. Xyz monsters are a joke. Anyway, poor Kashtira player. Wah, wah. Alright, once again, we're going first. That's what we prefer to do here. And this hand doesn't have nearly as strong of a combo, and once again, dies to Maxi. Now, notably, I don't get Maxi, but that's fine. So we're going to summon out the Absolouter, and then I have a feeling they have something here. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to test if they actually negate here, because I was pretty sure it was Infip. And they do. They just negate my Rocket Tracer, and I'm like, that's fantastic. Thank you for doing that. So we're going to go into the Striker Dragon and activate its effect, to the which that will promptly be negated as well. I'm like, okay, this gets a little bit sticky at this point. So I go for the Romulus here, and I think there's... At this point, I think there's still some things that we could do to potentially get into this combo, but I could be wrong. Anyway, we're going to go for the Dragon Ravine. We're going to send Seifert. Now, this is where I make the mistake. I send Seifert here, and I'm like, I think there's a way I can get the Seifert onto the field, and then I remembered, no, this is only Darks. So, if you don't know, Rocket Recharger's effect says, if a Dark monster you control that was special summoned from the extra deck is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send this card from hand to or field to the grave in order to target one of those destroyed monsters to special summon a Dark monster from grave with a different original name. So, what generally you do is you summon Striker, Striker pops itself, grabs back Recharger, Recharger activates in hand, sending itself to the grave, and then special summoning back a monster. This can bring back Borreland, by the way. It's hilarious. However, I was like, oh, I'll do that, and then bring back Seifert. Seifert's a light. My bad. I goofed. So I still do this play. I go for the Striker Dragon. I activate the Striker Dragon effect. I'm going to bring back this guy. And I go for the Rocket Recharger, but the Recharger... yeah, I go for the Recharger. The Recharger targets, brings back Tracer, and then I'm just like, sealed. Yeah. All of that was just a waste. So, bit of a misplay, but I had already, like, committed to that play, and then I was like, oh, no. That's a light. So I just pass. I do have Maxi, I have the Infip, and I'm not feeling too bad. My opponent normal summons Ram. Interesting. So I go for the Seal effect here. They go for the Called By. I'm like, oh, sweet. Activate Maxi, and it resolves. So my opponent goes for the Surrender button, as my chat calls it, which is, yeah, Typhon. I swear this guy has to have like the lowest win rate. If this card ever hits the field, it's just so bad. Anyway, I activate the regained here. This is a bit greedy from me. If my opponent has Ash Blossom, they would have used it last turn, so it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, so I send here because we have Safer Engrave. Turns out Safer actually ends up being pretty good here. Because we have Safer Engrave, we can add back the Bestial Lubellion and then shuffle back the Safer to draw an additional card. And it's the second Roach. Are you kidding me? Anyway, we grab the Magma here off of the Lubellion, and then we just kind of pass on this. Now this forces them to actually use the Typhon effect, which is important. Anyway, but we just grab the Druisworm here, and we're just playing regained control, baby. I fire the Maxi in the draw phase, just in case they have a triple tactics talents, or they drew him into it. They're going to bounce back my Bestial Lubellion. Nothing I can do about that. They're then going to go for Barrage. Okay, and summon out Zodiac Throwblade. I'm like, that's fine. This then allows me to summon the Magnemite. Magnemite effect is going to activate, and they're going to go for the Dryden. They're going to activate the effect of the Dryden, popping my Magnemite. Now, question. Sorry. Why would you not pop Regained or Field Spell? Because you think you have lethal. But here's the thing. You know I have a Druisworm in hand. That is very difficult to actually have lethal through here. Especially also under Maxi. Now, to be fair, I believe my Nibiru is currently engraved. I'm wrong. Forget that. That was last game. I'm bad. But yeah, anyway, you get the point. I draw Driver here. Not really that big of a deal. I go for the Imperm on the Xyz Armor Fortress. It's just, like, the best target. And then we just summon the Druisworm and shuffle back a guy and draw a guy. But ass bottom. Pretty good. And my opponent concedes, yeah. If they attack in, the Druisworm goes to the grave, sends the other guy to the graveyard, and then I have full combo on follow-up, and yeah. It's a good game. Alright, we're back with the deck, and honestly, Summon Sorc is pretty good. There's not really a whole lot of decks that can really make use of the new Summon Sorc, but the decks that can use it really can make the most out of it, right? Dragon Link, Warrior Link, I don't think Plant Link can do it, but Fiend Link, the Yubel stuff, absolutely can. So those three decks, I would say, are pretty good at utilizing Summon Sorceress, and honestly, I think now it is a much more balanced and much more interesting card as well. Just being able to, like, give your opponent... Whenever you can give your opponent a monster, as we saw in that Kashtira game, it becomes quite interesting, because it turns off a whole bunch of cards, right? There's, like, a bunch of, like, Madolche cards that just get turned off by just being given a guy. So there's a bunch of stuff like that just entirely invalidate starters and cards, like high-impact cards as well, like Lightning Storm. So that's pretty interesting. But then on top of that, like, being locked into dragons does matter. Being locked into anything, really. And then, you know, negating the effects of the monsters and stuff like that. Now, granted, the negation doesn't matter nearly as much if you're summoning something like a black metal that activates Engrave, right? So it's not really that big of a deal. Or if you're summoning something that doesn't really have an effect on the field, like, for example, a Recharger, or what have you. So, yeah, lots of stuff like that that's pretty good. And it's not like it requires you to summon the same level. So, for example, I could give my opponent, like, a Tracer, like I did in that other game, and then just special summon, like, I don't know, Saranir, or summon a Absolouter, or summon a Black Metal. Sorry, Darkness Metal. So there's a bunch of different things that you can do with that. And, yeah, I just think this is a really cool card now. And it's very fun. I wish there was... I was brainstorming on my previous stream what we could possibly do with this. And honestly, there's not a whole lot. It is pretty well balanced, I will say. So, yeah, the new erratas are pretty good in a very few selected decks. But they really can use it very well. And this is one of them. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, like us very much, so appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.